welcome back to another video. Another defeat for City, another defeat to Rochdale for City. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below on the performance. Who were to blame? Was it the referee? I think if you blame the referee, it's excuses, but I think we've got to acknowledge the referee's mistakes and his performance as well. You know, made a couple of big decisions that didn't go our way. I think the Ice penalty shout wasn't a penalty. Cook's penalty shout was just a useless cry of desperation from us. You know, I think Ice's penalty, he plays the ball, it's a really good tackle. But my problem with that is, if that's Platt or Critchlow or one of our players, that's a penalty. You know it is. You know, we've had penalties go against us all season. Yesterday as well with that Halliday penalty, which was never a penalty. It was a 50-50 challenge, and I thought there was a last shove on Halliday which sent him down, and the referee saw it as a penalty. I think surely he was unsure. He took his time to think on the decision, and if you're unsure on a penalty decision, you don't give it. It's the same with offside. I think most of the time they can't be sure on the decision they're making all the time, so let it go. It's a big decision in the game. He clearly wasn't sure on it, so why give it? And it was a stupid penalty. It was never a penalty. But you can't just blame the referee. Our performance was poor. We didn't have a shot on target in the second half, partly due to his mistakes. But then you blame the players. Why did their heads drop? And then you blame Hughes because he didn't realise that. He didn't make enough changes. When he did do it too late, I think he brought Walker on for Chapman in the 65th minute, which, you know, that was alright, but you should have made a couple. When you look at the Salford game, the game were changing. You know, the tides were turning. They were coming back into a game. They scored. It was 2-2, and then he made two quick changes. Cook on, Iso on, and you know them two combined, we scored and we won the game because of it. You know, in-game decisions, Hughes didn't make any, but you know barely any, apart from just telling us to hoof it up top and go direct. We shouldn't have done that. We went too direct. We're too predictable. Were too easy to play against in that second half. The team as a whole, the players lacked leadership. You know, to just get the team going again. Do you blame Small for that, for being captain? Well, I'm sure he didn't make himself captain, but there's different leaders. I'm sure he leads in other ways, not just, you know, shouting at the players and motivating them. But you know, you look at that team. Lewis isn't someone who shouts really. Critchlow and Platt, you wouldn't attach them to that. Halliday and Folds, same. You wouldn't attach them to being a leader and someone who motivates the players. You know, getting the players going. Smallwood probably should be that, but he isn't. Gilead and Sutton, you know, I think Sutton maybe leads in other ways in the game, but he ain't someone who would shout at someone, I don't think. Chapman, Oliver and Issa, they're the same. So, you know, we lacked leaders, we lacked a voice in that game. With Small going down the dressing room, I don't really have a problem with it, but if you do, let me know why, and let me know in the comments down below. But you know, I think, you know, is that him leading in his way by saying, you know, that performance wasn't good enough, get back in the changing room and forget about it. But he did it against Carlisle, again another bad performance, but and he didn't have a good game today, and he didn't have a good game there. So maybe he's just taking time to think about his performances in them games. But I don't see too much of a problem with it, you know, because I see it from that side. But then obviously I see it from a fan side. You know, clap the supporters off for you know staying to the last minute, and for going in awful conditions. But you know, at the same time, it's not too big of a deal really. But yeah, I think, you know, that there's loads of things you could use as excuses, but the truth and the hard, you know, cold facts of that game was we didn't create enough chances, we didn't take the chances that we did create, and we were poor on the ball, we were poor off the ball, and, you know, we mentally allowed ourselves to get bullied by a referee because we just, our heads went. You can't be losing them games if you want to go in the automatic promotion race. Rochdale are a team who were second bottom, 23rd in the league. They had no wins in over 2 months. They had one win in the last 13 league and cup games. There were just 2 away wins. They just had 2 away wins all season. The last away win was over 3 months ago. They were the joint second lowest scorers in the league, and they just had 9 goals in away games all season. We can't be losing them games in front of having a good season and going up. And that's what we tend to do. We tend to lose to the teams who we should be winning, and then the teams who are around us, we tend to lose to them as well. I mean, Northampton we lost to, Orient we lost to, Stevenage we won, but we lost them 2 big games. And then when you look at, we haven't played Gillingham yet, who are rock bottom. We've got to play them twice, so you can probably say that's another 2 defeats. And we've still got to play Rochdale again. So if we're losing to teams who can't win a game away from home, or can't win a game at all, can't score goals, then when are we ever going to go up? So my question to you is, are we cursed? Because it definitely seems like it. But looking at the league table, they're 22nd now. They've just climbed out of the relegation zone. They're on 20 points. Hartlepool go back into the relegation zone, and we're still in 5th with 39 points, still 7 points off Northampton. But the big concern is we're 5 points away from 15th. 5 points away from 15th. So I think that's Tranmere and someone else's level with them. I don't know if it's Stockport, but we could seriously slide down at league table, and the league could seriously peter out again. If we go on a bad run, say we draw to Wimbledon or and then maybe lose to Carlisle again, we'll probably be mid-table, and teams around us will be winning. Looks like Salford could go on a bit of a run. We need to go on a run of games where we win. 6 or 7 games. We just need to be. We're not forget about autos. That's over now. If we get autos, I'll be stunned. And playoffs is a bit pot luck. You can do well to get there, and then you can lose to an offside goal or something. But yeah, into player ratings, Lewis gets a 6. I felt maybe he could have done better with the goals, but overall he didn't have a bad game. Halliday gets a 6. He could get a 5, but he got done on that side a bit. But obviously conceded a penalty, but in my view he got fouled. So I think we were a bit unlucky in that aspect. Going forward, I don't think he got forward enough. I don't think he put a cross in that game actually. I don't recognise him going down that flank, and I think our biggest problem is fullback. We don't have attacking fullbacks. I think Halliday, he came in and we thought he were a bit of an attacking fullback, and we've realised he's a bit more defensive. And Folds is more of a defensive fullback, but even then he's a bit suspect. And going forward, his cross fails to beat the first man every time. We need attacking fullbacks if we're playing a diamond. You need your fullbacks to be high up the pitch and good at crossing, and they're not. So that's another problem with the diamond. I like it. We've been playing well with it. Salford we played really well. Harrogate we played really well, and the difference when you look at them games and this game today, we lack that physical edge. They were physically better than us today. They stood up to every challenge, and off the ball they just looked physically better than us. So I don't know what that were all about. I don't know how long they had off. Did they have 10 days without a game as well? But I think that hindered us because we were getting a bit of momentum. 10 days without a game, and then you can little things you're playing, how you were playing against Harrogate and Salford, getting wins, playing well, you can just forget a couple. So I think I thought that might have played a bit of a factor. But yeah, fullbacks that aren't good enough. To going forward in this system, your fullbacks have to be good going forward, and they have to be quite quick to go forward and to get back as well. So I don't think they were good enough. 2 6s, 6 for Halliday and a 5 for Folds. 2 centre backs, Critchlow and Platt, 2 6s. I don't think either of them had a good game by any stretch of the imagination. I thought I could have given them 5s. I thought they were quite poor. They didn't deal with enough crosses coming into a box. Platt were too no nonsense. I don't mind him being no nonsense, but when you're 2-1 down and you get the ball on the volley and you're hoofing it straight away and kicking out for throws all the time, just have a bit of composure, take a touch. I know the conditions are bad, but they're not that bad. You don't have to have it out of play every time you get it. So I think that was another big thing. We went too direct, and Hughes changed it in that way. But we were too direct. You don't have to go. Did we go 4-2-4? Just go four attackers all up there. It was just a bit of a mess. You weren't gonna win a game by going like that. But yeah, we just didn't have a plan in that second half. We looked like we just got sent out there, and the referee made a decision. Our heads went, and then we didn't know what to do next. And I think that was a big problem in the game. Into the midfield, Smallwood gets a 6. Obviously, I talked about him walking off. I didn't see too much of a problem with it, but let me know if you did. His overall performance, he won a few tackles, but then I thought his passing weren't too bad. The type of player Smallwood is, snap into a challenge, win the ball back, and play an easy pass. And I think he did that to a degree, but at times we got caught out a bit in midfield. Gilead and Sutton and Chapman going forward. You need Smallwood to stay back a bit and protect the back line, and he didn't do that. We got caught out too much in the latter stages of that second half, and ended up coming off, and we went totally for it, bringing Pereira and Thierry Nevers on. But he's obviously a brilliant player, but you're going to have bad games now and then, and today wasn't one of his best games. Sutton 7, I thought he was probably second best player on the pitch. Isa gets man of match with a 7, but Sutton I thought kept running. His intensity was really good, snapping into challenges, really tenacious. And I think he got the assist for Isa's goal. I thought he was one of the better players on the pitch today, and one of the players whose heads didn't seem to drop. So I thought Sutton had a pretty good game today. Gilead got a 6. I think you could have given him a 5. You could have given him a 6. I thought he'd give the ball away too much. Didn't use his strength. In a game like this where the conditions, it's wet, it's raining, it's muddy. The pitch is holding up. The ball's holding up in the pitch. You've got to use your strength and use your body, and he didn't do that enough. Not none of the players really did that enough. And like I said, they beat us physically in that game. And Smallwood, Gilead, they've got to look at themselves in that midfield. And I know Sutton win it as well, but he had a better game. That in duels they were better. So I thought Gilead could have done better today, and I thought he'd give the ball away too much as well. Chapman 6. I want to give him a 7. First half performance he got a 7. Second half performance he went really quiet and out the game. But first half he was tenacious, getting into challenges. Winning the ball back, creating small half chances, but still creating. I think the only problem with Chapman is his end product, and that's probably the criticism he gets towards some fans, because he gets into good areas and he don't have the end product to create all. But I see a really good technical footballer there, and I think his championship standard for his technical ability, but for his end product, that's why he's in League 2 at the minute. He needs to work on his final, pass, his final shot, and I think he's a player who could really get good, but he just needs to work on his end product. But when in those conditions today, you see who the technically good footballers are, and Chapman was that in that first half. He got the ball on the half turn. Span a few of their defenders, got into good areas, and I thought it was brilliant. But second half again, it just petered out like everyone did. Isa gets 7 man of match, brilliant goal, great composure with it, got the touch through the defender, and then smashed it into the bottom left corner. Really good finish, and when he scored it, I thought that's a bit of a Rashford goal in a minute. And 2-2 for Isa. Hopefully, he can go on a bit of a run, replacing Terry Cry. I didn't do a video on it because Attic were getting painted, so I couldn't do a video, but I might do on Thursday, but I might not. So let me know if you want to see it, but you probably won't because it's all news. But I'll just talk about it now. So Terry Cry went. I felt like we had to replace him at the time, but then I look at the team. I think we've got Angol who isn't making the bench. We've got Young. I suspect them two will go out on loan. We've got Derbyshire who's just come in. This Nevers who can play out wide and as a striker he looks quite an exciting player. So we've replaced Wright in that aspect, but we've got Isa who can play up front, we've got Banks, we've got Oliver, we've got Cook, we've got loads of options, and we play with 3 attackers. So I like the diamond. We played well with it against Harrogate and Salford. I think there's, it looked fluid, it looked good, and then 10 days off, maybe we just didn't get to know each other's roles as we would have liked. So yeah, but you look at it, you go, well, we've got Nevers who can play up front and off the wing. We've got Banks who can play off the wing. Can he play in the number 10 position? I don't know. And then we've got Chapman and Walker who can play there. We've got Angle, we've got Cook, we've got Oliver, we've got Young, Isa. We've got so many players in them positions. We might be a bit overloaded, and Angle, Young will go out, and then maybe a couple of others, but I don't know who, because they're all really good. We've still got Pereira, whose clause in his contract means that he has to, because he played for Luton and Bradford City, he can't go out on loan again, and it's pointless to Luton recalling him, so he's staying. So, and I don't see the point of having Pereira on the bench. I know he came on for about 10 minutes because of the added time, but Ian obviously favoured by Hughes, and put Jake Young on the bench. But from what we've seen this season, Jake Young's got more talent than Pereira at the minute, and he'll be more confident. But maybe that's gone. But he needs to go out on loan. There's loads of players who do, but hopefully Isa can get a good run of scoring goals, because everything. His slow start to City, 18-month, injuries after injuries. Hopefully he's getting back to it, and another player who's been out with injuries. We've got Odesebi who can come back as a centre midfielder who can play off the wing. So it's exciting, the players we've got, but we're not using them to the abilities, I don't think, at the minute. And we need to get on a winning run. I don't think it's all doom and gloom, but we need to get winning some games. Oliver gets 6. First half again really good. Held the ball up well, span a few defenders. Didn't really get enough chances. We didn't create enough for him, and that's the tail of the game. We didn't create enough chances. The players' heads dropped. Second half performance was abysmal, and the referee ruined the game. But we've got to react as a team. We've got to show leadership. We've got to show character. We've got to respond to when decisions aren't gone our way. And a couple of times this season we haven't. Second half performances this season haven't been good enough. You're seeing teams in League 2 and League 1, quite similar level, I think. They go 1 or 2-0 up and they blow teams away. It ends up being a 3 or 4-0 game. We're not doing that this season, and that's why teams are able to come back into a game in the second half, and that's why we've dropped so many points, and we can't seem to get wins from losing positions. We don't have the characters in this team, and Hughes. The benefit of doing it the day after, you get to see what Hughes said. He just blamed the ref from what I've seen of him, but I'm sure in that dressing room he's got to be testing the characters of them players, because to not win that game against that team, on such a bad run, it says something. So we've got to bounce back against Wimbledon. We've got to go on a run now. If we don't, this is the game we look back on and say we bottled it. We bottled promotion against Rochdale on the 10th of January. But let me know your thoughts in the comments down below on everything I've discussed. Have a good one.